Welcome everyone to of the Publishing Persuasion. I am uh
Who
hold on,
are you?
I forgot what my name was. I'm Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle and forthcoming A Cruel Thirst. And I am here with the author of is it a Severed Cape or just Severed Cape?
Just severed
Or the
Kate.
Okay. Author of Severed Cape, forthcoming in an amazingly haunting, scary anthology. I'm here with Melanie Schubert with a SCH, mind you, Schubert. Melanie, I have to say, I finally freaking read Severed Cape, and oh my God, it's so good. And I was shocked, Melanie. I was shocked how dark you went, but it felt so real and right.
Mhm.
And yes, like you're every single time I read another thing of yours, I'm always like, damn, she's getting good. She's getting better. Like every single time, it feels like you've just upped your game. So, congratulations to you and to all of us who get to read your work. It's so freaking good and dark. And oh my God. Um,
You.
yeah, don't mess with Melanie. Do not mess.
You know what?
Not that you're the character.
No, I am.
But
In my heart, I am. Like, it's so like, actually, we've got a date, May 7th. Our
Woohoo!
anthology, Castle of Horror, Volume 11, is coming May 7th. So keep your eyes. I just saw your orb ghost again. It's dust. I just saw it float. It's fucking Smokey's hair. I just saw it float past the camera. It's a freaking piece of hair. Although I
I
will.
refuse. I refuse to admit that because Smokey doesn't shed.
Does he not?
No,
Find that
Melanie.
hard to believe. Unless he's a
Okay,
poodle mix. Yeah, sorry, I
he's a
digress.
schnauzer. Schnauzers do not. I mean, they do a little bit, but
Mm.
not much. But anyways, back to you.
Back to me.
Back to Melanie.
No, I
Okay.
really appreciate that. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it's it's very different from the last thing. Like, if somebody had read Gregory and the Grimbuckle, my middle grade that I had years ago come out, compared to this, yes, it's very different. It couldn't be more different. But like, it was honestly so satisfying to write it. Like the themes are really dark. Like I did not fuck around. I went right
No.
for the dark because the theme of the anthology is revenge. And like I kind of just sat with that and I was like, what would make me feel like the the epitome of revenge? What is it? What would make my blood boil? And I just happened to be watching all these cult docos at the time. And yeah, like my blood burns when I hear these stories. My blood burns at like the injustice, you know? And so yeah, she was born out of that rage. And
Yes. Feminine rage, just
yeah.
anger, and I freaking loved it. Like it felt, I feel like that. God, you need to write more. It's probably hard to write books like, I mean, it's got to be hard to write stories like that where you do have to go so dark, but damn,
Mm.
you killed it. Shink shink. Literally killed it. So good. Congratulations. Do you know, like, can we get this anthology in the States, or do you know much
I
about?
think it's a US publisher. So yeah, like
Oh,
I'm
it
hoping I
is.
don't know what it's going to be like in terms of will it be on shelves or will it just be like purchase online? That I'm not sure about. Um, but I guess we'll see. Like yeah,
Ooh.
like whatever comes from the opportunity. I am so fucking proud of that story. And like it is something that like when I hear these horrible stories and you like burn at the injustice, I'm just like, I have severed cape. Like I hope it will heal some people reading it and I hope it will haunt the wrong person.
Mm.
I hope that if the wrong person reads it, it will haunt them forever because, you know, sometimes there's just things that yeah, like the injustices of the world that burn your soul and yeah. So I feel like a sense of peace having written that story and embodying my rage at that injustice. And yeah.
Yeah. You killed it. I kid you not. I I'm laughing at that that pun, but I mean it. Like you did so good with it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
truly like I'm not kidding. Every time I read another thing of yours, I'm always like, damn, she is stepping her pussy up. So good job.
Oh, you brought a little tear to my eye.
Oh, I'm glad. You should sob. You should
That's
sob at your own greatness. You did the thing. You need to just walk around in arrogance from now on
right.
of being like, do you even know who I am?
Do you even know this is the 7K bitch?
Yeah.
But I
You should put a shirt. You should make a shirt like that.
This is the seven. Actually, I really want to get. I don't know if I'll get Riley or if I'll. I really want to get a character illustration done by an artist of that main character,
Oh,
kind of almost like a like graphic novel style, like deep because it's got superhero vibes. Yeah, like without
yeah.
too much like a gory like Hannibal Lecter type superhero, but not Hannibal Lecter, but you know that vibe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
how
pretty
cool would
much.
it be to see and even that's the thing, like I have to keep my ear to the ground because even the editor Jason, he was like, it would make a really cool graphic novel. And I was like, yes, it would. Yes,
It,
it would.
honestly, now that you're bringing this up, yes.
Yeah.
Like how cool. I could totally see it
Yeah.
as
Like
a
a
graphic novel.
yeah.
That would be really cool. Or like a little short like a little movie, a little short
Ooh,
movie. Like
yes,
a but
manifest that.
yes, I'm seeing it like,
Mm, yeah.
you know.
Ooh, I felt that. I felt that. Hello. What do you call it? What's that indie book? What's that indie Sundance? The indie movie
Um,
festival? It's giving Sundance.
yes, yes. I
Ah,
love it.
but
I'm
thank
here
you
for
for
it.
that, my darling. It's like, yeah, as you know, like last year I was going a bit nuts in the query trenches, and I'm just so glad, like, I kind of pushed myself to try, because, yeah, like I have really pushed to write in all the genres. Like at this point, I don't know if there's a genre and category I haven't written in. Like, I've
Right.
done
No,
mixed grade,
seriously.
picture book, YA, adult, and I've like mostly I tend to go back to like a slight fantasy in the world. I think I
Yeah.
prefer that's where I have the most fun writing in all genres.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's kind of cool like that one was one of the things that brought something to fruition. So, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
been a little anchor of like, yeah, bitch, you're doing it. Like every
You
time I
are.
have that moment when I'm like, do I stay? Like, do I keep fighting to like stay in this industry? When I have those like doubtful moments, it's kind of like when something seems to come out of the ether and I'm like, okay, just shut up and keep working, Melanie.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And no, and totally. And I love what our guest who's coming up soon, Vera had to say, where it's just
Yeah.
like you're just going about in life and then something shifts and you have time or just inspiration strikes and then everything changes. And
Mm,
she found her calling and now she started in like 2021 and now she has
yeah.
19 books under her belt.
Amazing.
And it is like a viral sensation. So
Yeah.
something is going to click when when it just aligns just right. And
Yeah.
yeah. hmm I'm feeling it. I'm feeling very excited for you.
Thank you.
My worldly intuition is speaking.
Yeah, but it's nice that it's like, as much as I hate to admit it, it's nice that it's like now because I think I was in a bit of a frantic mindset where I like I've said before, like my word for the year is balance. I really want to have that a bit more balance where I'm not so consumed by I think I probably was a bit addicted to social media, if I'm honest. Like just thinking that I'll somehow propel my career that like and don't get me wrong, because we both know like a lot of opportunities come from
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
I just think it became too much a part of my world where it can suck the joy out of your actual day when you're on there too much. And once I realized that there was too many days that that was happening, and like it's taken me embarrassingly long. Like it's not like a overnight thing that I was like, oh shit, like I don't know if it's healthy for me to be online as much as I have been.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I feel the difference. I feel like the elephant off my chest a bit more, pulling away from
Mm.
social media that little bit more. Or just even changing how I engage is maybe a better way.
Yes.
Like it's not this, it's just a different mindset. I'm not like single-handedly trying to push the, you know,
Mm-hmm.
push the
Mm-hmm.
thing further. And I think for a long time I was like, if I just this one thing, and it was always immeasurable. What was the one thing that I was pushing for? Like you couldn't even put it into words or whatever. It was just this feeling that if you filled the scale enough, it would eventually tip and things would, which happens when you're constantly grinding. I don't think you have to be grinding nonstop for it to happen. And if you
Yeah.
do, I think maybe it's not really a fulfilling or sustainable thing, is what for me, is what I've realized, you know?
Yeah. No, I think that's good. And I feel the same way for myself. It's like when I finally, and I don't really particularly know when it shifted, if it was after everything came out, like my book came out. I
Mm.
feel like it was after, where I was just like, truly, I worked so hard trying, feeling like, oh, I'm just
Mm.
gonna keep going, keep posting, doing whatever I can
Yeah.
to like move the needle. But truly,
Mm.
am I really just one person able to do that unless I'm like some viral sensation? And I don't know if that's
Mm.
what I want necessarily anyway.
Mm.
Because I thought that's what I wanted, was like, oh, I want to have all these followers and all these things.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but truly what I really and honestly want and value is like a community and just like people that care about me and my books. And
Mm.
I mean, sure, I wouldn't mind going viral. That'd be great. But
Yeah.
if you're gonna buy the book, great.
Yeah.
But like freeing my brain up to
Mm.
being like, it's okay if you're not, and just enjoying the process. And yeah, I think like when you're able to free your mind, your brain space from like, oh, I need to post and hope this goes viral and do these techniques and
Yes.
um for me, and I feel like for you, like
Yeah.
giving ourselves permission to not worry about that and just do the things that make us happy,
Mm.
um makes you better and
Yeah.
makes a better day. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that I post, the things that are like the most genuine that I post and like that made me laugh the hardest and made me more like excited
Mm.
and just goofing off were the things that took off better
Yeah.
anyway. Like the things that really truly brought me joy to post and talk about and make funny videos.
Mm.
And I feel like that being genuine has gotten us further in many ways, like in community, because
Yeah.
it aligns you with people who are similar. So like I
Mm.
did a really fun interview with Nikki Payne was on there, and then the host, her name's Karis. I met her at a book signing in LA, at
Mm.
my book signing, and it was just really really cool. Karis, the host, was like, wow, you and Nikki, like, you guys get along, like, what's the relationship here? And
Mm.
of course we had pitch wars, but truly we align because I just think she's hilarious, and
Mm.
she likes my vibe. So it's like finding those people that just bring you joy.
Mm.
No, I feel like I went on a tangent
No,
there, but
I'm soaking it in. I'm soaking it in.
soak
And
it
it's
in, baby.
so that. And I think that's why people say work out your why. Because I
Yeah.
think maybe, and that's like something I've been like kind of trying to pick apart myself as well. Maybe at the heart of things, like the why is already something that we were creating very early on. That sense of community, that sense of like contributing something to leave the world a little brighter or just make it a little brighter as we go about our days and like, and I
Yeah.
think that's the thing, like I like to reflect on our founding father's words, Mama Japara, like you're
Founding
already doing
grandfather.
the thing, like that's the thing, like if you're kind of approaching it, it's all in these little nuances of mindset, because that's the thing, outwardly might look like we're both doing exactly what we were doing last year, but inwardly,
Hmm.
we both know that's not the case. we both know that we've put up like certain boundaries and like whatever. It's not perfect. It's a work in progress, right? But it
Yeah.
it feels different, you know? And I think it's in those nuances. If you can kind of like play with that and work out, remember which parts brought you joy and like, and I think that's it too. Working out, oh, hey, I can actually do a podcast without it completely sucking my soul, without it like being this huge thing and being like, oh, I'm good at that. So I'll do that. You know, it's kind of like working out those places, or like some people, it's like, you are great at reels. Let's be honest. And that's the thing. Like, outwardly, you're still making quirky, funny reels, but inwardly, you're not putting this heavy pressure to just be a one-man marketing team, you know?
That's it. Yes. Yes, that's it.
Mm,
It's yeah, totally. It may look like we're doing the same thing as last year, but
yeah,
inwardly it's 100% differently.
I
And I
agree.
love that for us.
I love
And
that for us.
I do. I really do. I hope it for everybody. And I feel like so many times you post something or you
Mm,
do something and it feels like it's just like going out into the void.
mm,
Um, but I really it's always shocking to me how when you do put out things that like are genuine and that you really feel in your heart, somehow something good does come from it. And it could be even just somebody just saying, "Oh, that made me smile." Like, thank you for
yes.
making me laugh. And that I was always like, ah, yes, the one person I made one person smile today. I'm so fulfilled. Like that's all I've ever like
Yeah. No,
it's
you're so
so
right.
fun.
You're
I
so
love it.
right. It's like that one person, if you like made the effort to post and somebody was like, thank you for sharing that. Like, I needed to see this today or whatever. It's just,
Yeah.
it's that. And, you know, like you did make the difference. You shifted the energy for someone that day in the favor.
Ooh, oh, that's good. We're
Now, before I
shifting.
forget, I want to hear all, now that it's announced, I want to hear all about this event that you're doing with Ryan
Oh yeah.
Lasala.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like it's doing things into the void. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had Ryan on the show.
Mm.
Ryan is just somebody I always I've loved following for years. He's just hilarious.
Mm.
Um, like we'll chit chat here and there, but it's never like I just came out of the blue. This whole thing was, and it was so fun. But I was driving to Adrian's like basketball practice, and I see my email pop up,
Yeah.
and it said Ryan LaSalle, and I was like, did Ryan accidentally email me for something? Like, what is this about? And it was like, hey, and I was like, okay. And then he was like, can I call you? I was like, yeah. And so like it was just this like amazing, like felt so random, but it wasn't. But because I have been
Mm.
out here,
Yeah.
we have chatted. We do Ryan and I follow each other. We have fun on TikTok or whatever or on
Yeah.
Instagram. So those things that you feel like you're just putting out to the void, people are watching and seeing and laughing
Mm.
with you. And so he was like, hey, so what it is basically is because I went to Y'all Fest over
Mm.
in South Carolina, and that was like this amazing, it's a young adult book festival. It's huge and so fun.
Yeah.
And it was my first time ever going there. It was my first time going to any book festival. And but at the end of the festival, because that one's 2 days, at the
Mm.
end on that like Saturday, was a Saturday or Sunday night, they host this thing called a Smackdown. And it's basically like a improv kind of show and like game show that the authors take part of.
Yeah.
And it's just like hilarious. And the host like did a dance um and so yeah, so Ryan hosts the Southern California, so my side of
Mm.
the country. And
Mm.
so I'm gonna co-host with him. He's the star of the show. I'm just
Yeah.
there, to
No.
show some leg, whatever he needs me to do. But but yeah, I'm excited. It's such a like a fun honor just to be even
Mm.
thought of. But
Of
I am
course
so
you'd be
ready.
thought of. Like, and this is the thing, like, if people are wondering about networking, I know like starting out, it's like sometimes I look back and I'm like, why are these people even my friends? You know, you have that moment where you're like, why
Yeah.
did he message? But I'm like, no, but also you naturally gravitated towards those people in the first place because they're your people. you know? And I think
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. It is a bit of a dance. And especially because there can be people who can be very confronting as well in the industry and like who can just like want something from you, you know? And I think it's hard to work out like who, when, what, but like just literally following the good energy and you find your people because who would be more perfect than you to do that with him?
Yeah.
Like that's why he's like, that's some good energy there.
He knows
He
he's feeling
knew.
it. And yeah,
It's
so
a
I'm so
powerhouse
excited.
team. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have fun. I can't imagine. Knock on wood. Never mind. I'm not gonna finish that sentence, but it should be fun. I was gonna say I can't imagine anything goes wrong, but again, I'm gonna retract that
Yeah.
sentence. I don't want to jinx myself, but it's gonna be really fun. And
Gonna
there's
be
so many people,
glorious.
it'll be fun. Like so many people from that area
Yeah.
and people we've had on the show that are gonna be there. So it'll be a blast.
I stupidly hit record and then ran Goose out before I came on. I'm realizing our time is ticking down.
Oh, is it? It
I
doesn't
don't know
show
if
it
we
on
can
mine.
squeeze in the bio. I don't know when it's going to cut us off. Let's try squeeze
Oh,
in Vera's
weird.
bio, or we can do another one. I guess I was outside longer than I thought.
Oh, how funny. I don't even see it on mine.
It
That's
says
funny.
39. So I'm like, is it going to cut us off in 30 seconds? Then we just have to come back on for the intro.
Okay.
Because I probably
How
can't squeeze it
funny.
in that time anyway. Whoops.
Yeah.
This is like, I need to set timers for myself. Like, I literally see the ADHD part of my brain sometimes. I'm like, oh, just run outside. And then I'm like, hang on, how long was it ticking away for?
It happens. It
Let's see,
happens.
it's going to either cut off in 5 seconds,
Okay. The
or is that?
final
No, it's
countdown.
still going.
Yeah,
Okay.
it
I don't
doesn't
know.
show anything on my end.
Weird.
So
Okay.
weird. Unless it
Let's
just
read it
turns off,
anyway. So
but
if we get cut off, we have it on.
yes.
So
Very good.
speaking of amazingly big energy people like yourself and Ryan, we had
Oh,
on
yes.
today the Vera Valentine, author of such glorious books as Unhinged and Squeak, which we have still yet to discuss.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like I got it pretty good. I got some funnel cake feedback from you. Now that I've said that in a sentence, I regret. But do you want me to read it? I think you did it
Yeah,
last
yeah, yeah.
time.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So, Vera Valentine, the Vera Valentine, an unapologetic book huffer and devourer of stories, Vera Valentine has carried on a torrid love affair with the written word for nearly all of her 41 years. Grown in the diner-laden wilds of New Jersey Pine Barrens, and transplanted to North Carolina, she lives with her husband, 8 cats, and 2 dogs, most of whom are house trained. Most of whom are house trained. An avid fan of the paranormal why choose / polyam genre, she tossed her author hat into the ring in September 2021 and never looked back. A cheerfully chaotic capybara, Vera can be usually found spending too much time on social media, chilling with her fellow author friends, or scribbling down plot bunny ideas in her trusty paper sidekick, The Bad Idea Book TM.
Yes. Let's bring on the
What
badass
a
herself.
legend.
Super legend. Yeah, I'm pumped. But let's talk about Squeak since we're
Yeah.
not going to get cut
Well,
off at
I
this
don't know
point.
when it will happen.
Yeah.
Maybe at 45. It's so weird
Okay.
because sometimes it cuts us off at 40 and sometimes at 45, and I never know why. But yeah, let's keep
Ah,
going till it
okay.
cuts us off.
So
So
yeah,
the
Squeak.
squeak.
You finished Squeak not too long ago. So
Yeah.
how are you feeling after your Squeak
Feeling
experience?
positively squeaky.
The sound effects always like the sound effects freaking kill me.
Well, I can't look at a balloon animal the same way again. Let's just say that. Um,
No.
I forgot to send you. I'm gonna slide into your DMs later. In a window the other day, advertising some like superannuation or something, there were these enormous balloon dogs.
Oh.
And it was when I was reading it, and I was just like, what? Like, what are the changes? Just walk past. I just was like hysterically laughing on the street, like I'd lost the plot. But once again, I just feel, and like I've said, I feel like we're drawn to these stories because the idea is so out of the box. But then I'm like, but once again, I was like very interested. I was very invested in
I
these
know.
people's stories. And yeah, like I I'm just like, do I need to write a spicy book? You know, like
I I think you must. I think it has to happen. I feel like I can feel the energy,
yeah.
the excitement, I feel it just emanating from the screen. So
It
you've
does.
done you've done the horror thing.
Mm.
Now let's do
It's the
the
last
smutty thing.
uncharted genre, isn't it?
I feel
And
like it is.
I wonder if maybe it's like acting. In a way, publishing sometimes is like acting. Maybe I just need to do a little porn first to break in.
Maybe maybe you should.
Who
Maybe.
knows? Oh, was it
I
too
didn't know.
far? Too far?
I
You know how people always joke about that? That they
no,
have to
I've
do the.
never.
You've never heard that. Where have you been? It's like,
Well,
it's not
maybe
even a
that's just
joke.
how
It's
maybe
just a
that's how
fact.
Kath and Kim made it. I don't know.
I'd pay to watch that.
Oh,
I don't know why. I don't know what I'd be witnessing.
yeah.
Kath and
Oh,
Kel. Kath and Kel,
Kath and
that would be.
Kel. Kath and Kel. I
Yeah.
say Kath and Kim? My
Not
bad.
Kath and Kim. No, but the show is Kath and
Kath,
Kim. But yeah, I wouldn't
Kath
pay
and
to
Kim.
see Kath and Kim.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't pay. Yeah, not together.
We're not
No.
doing that Targaryen shit. No.
Yeah.
But no,
I
it
I
did.
feel like
Okay.
have you been trying to write some steamier stuff?
Yeah, well, I wrote that blurb that I sent you on a whim,
Yes.
and I haven't like I'm trying so hard to finish this YA draft first.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
like my brain wants to go in a tangent and write something else. And it also appeals to me that like these books are so short. It appeals to me to write something like a novelette. What do you call it? Novella?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tempting, but I really want to try suffer. I say suffer because, you know, the tail end of a draft, it's
Yeah.
weathering. It's weathering. So I'm trying to watch stuff that's like putting me in the mindset to just get this fucking draft done
Yes.
because I'm
Yes.
kind of
Oh,
tired of it.
sorry to go
No.
off subject, but was it Ready Set Love you told me to watch?
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's so good, isn't
It's
it?
so good. I'm on episode 3, I think. It's so fun.
Right? I knew you would
Yes.
love it. Isn't it hitting like all the kind of it's funny
Yeah.
that you brought that up because that's the thing. Like I am really like chaotic with like what I want to watch and what I want to read. And as soon as I watched that, I was like, obviously I want to write something like, don't do you feel that? You're
Yeah.
watching and you're like, well,
Yes.
this is perfect. So
Yeah.
obviously I want to write something with a game show and like this dystopian feel that they managed to inject into that. So the
Yes.
premise is so clever as well. Like the premise is, if you haven't watched it, listeners, it's like all the men were like wiped out basically by a pandemic or something, just the men. So there's only a few left with the like cherished like these treasures. You have to be like win this competition to potentially marry one of these eligible K-pop-esque men. You know, they're like very
Yeah.
styled. They're very like yeah. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you're watching it.
Oh, I'm having a blast watching it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm so glad. I probably wouldn't have
Mm.
if you hadn't recommended because there's just
There's
now
so
on my
much.
there's so many.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious and cute and sweet and like swoony. It's all the things. So good
Mm.
job on that one. Ready, Set, Love is yes. But it's like it's fun. So it's funny that you mentioned that though, because like as soon as you start watching something good that makes you feel feelings, you're like, oh, I want to write something like that.
Yeah, that's
Make the
so true. And
feels.
like, that's what I'm wondering lately, especially with Severed Cape getting picked up. Like, the thing that I said is like, I sat with the feeling of
Mm,
revenge and how that made me feel and what made me feel that. It's something I'm wondering lately. Like, can I apply that to writing my novels? Like, how I'm like literally trying to dissect that thing at the moment. The like the emotion that you feel and how that evokes emotion in other people. How can I inject that into my characters? You know what I
yeah.
mean? It is harder in a full-length book.
Yeah. 100% harder. And
What do
what I've
you
been
do? What's your kind of process to like sit with? Because I know we're both more pantsers. Is
yeah.
that something you do, like sit with your characters?
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like I knew for Sinner's Isle, I knew those
Mm.
characters so well and like their backstories.
Mm.
And so I understood why their quirks were like why they were the way they were.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I don't know everything about them before the book even has started,
Mm.
like it doesn't give as many layers. So that's what I'm
Interesting.
trying to do. I'm gonna start hopefully working on my third book and
Mm.
but I don't really know them yet. And so I've
Okay.
been
Yeah.
I've been really trying to just sit back and like think, okay, why what happened to them? Who are
Mm.
they? Why are they like give them like little quirks, little things. You
Mm.
know, like I don't like me. I don't like parrots. I apologize, parrot lovers. But I don't like them because one chased me when I was young. Right?
Did
So
it
like
peck
little
you?
things like that. Yeah, it terrorized me. And I never forgave that thing. And I've never been the same. So like I'll look at a parrot and I'll just flip them off like you
But it's
fucker.
so fun to torture you with it. Like, I don't actually want to trigger you, but it is unfortunately Para and I can't help ourselves. Like, are you being triggered every time we send you reels?
Not in a
No,
bad way. Like it's
no.
like a okay, it's funny. It's
Okay.
fine. It's funny. Yeah, it's on the screen.
Um,
No, I don't mind. I think it's hilarious. But it's like little things like that, those little
mm,
quirks of the how the brain just kind of latches onto these things
mm,
and it carries on into these adult characters or young adult
yeah.
characters.
I'm
Because yeah,
fascinated. I didn't realize that. So you feel like you had like a full, you like knew all about the Sinners Isles characters before you started writing it?
yeah.
Or as you, yeah? That's incredible.
I feel like for most of the characters, like for
Mm,
yeah, like for Rosa, Santi for sure, Mariano, like I for like those
mm,
main characters, I really knew who they were. Like my
that's,
villain, I didn't know her story until I started
yeah.
like digging deeper into the Sinner's Isle, like the plot.
Mm,
But then once I did, I was like, oh, okay, that's why she's this way. You know,
gotcha.
because when she was young, these things happened, and so
Yeah,
it
yeah,
just trickled
yeah.
down. So her Doña Lucia is like kind of the villain character, and
Mm.
Rosa, their storylines actually are parallel,
Ooh, I love
but
that. Yeah.
they had made different choices in life, and
Mm.
that's how they, you know, how it ends.
I'm
So
fascinated because for me, like, and this is why I'm wondering if I can sit with a feeling for the character and then build on that. Because for me, I kind of learn who they are through writing them. And that's why
yeah.
lately it's appealing to me. Oh my gosh, I've heard the word zero draft.
Mhm.
And I know this is so like wanky of me, but I've only just recently looked it up. Like what is a freaking zero draft? Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, it's my zero draft." And I'm like, "Okay, honey, what is a zero draft?" So I was like, "Well, just look it up, Melanie." Which like more awareness, most of us when we hear like this is what we were saying the other day with Amali. Like most of us are just looking these words up as we hear them, you know? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so I didn't know what a zero draft was. And I was just kind of like, every time I saw it, I was like, whatever. But looking it up,
What
I
a
was like,
snob.
what
What a
a
snob of
snob.
you.
I just thought it was some trendy word people were using for first draft, you know? And I was just like, for
Uh-huh.
fuck's sake, just call it a first draft.
You bitch.
I know, but now I'm like taking back all my initial side eye because now that I understand what it is, I'm really thinking it's like the key to my freedom as a writer
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
literally just not even thinking of it as like a final product. It's just spewing out whatever comes. You have a story idea and you just spew it out. It's a zero draft. It's not even classified as like, it's just to tell yourself the very beginnings of the story. It very much appeals to me. That's how I'm trying to push through to write this like this ending that I'm suffering through. I'm trying to just mentally be like, zero draft. Who cares if it was shit? Zero draft. And I think like we've always tried, I say we because I know we've talked about it. We've always tried to just push through and have a shit draft. But like, I think I've still been holding myself accountable. Like, let it at least be readable. You let it make
Right.
sense. But I'm forced, it's really hard. My brain, I didn't realize was a perfectionist brain. It wants it to all make sense. if I see this and I'm like, ah, but up there you said this, and I'm like, better go fix it. That's a fucking day of work, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And like when you stop that and to do it, it derails everything else. And that's how I usually write. But no,
Mm,
I'm just trying to push through this shitty. It's not even that bad, like, but it feels bad when you just let it flow out.
yeah, for sure. But I think, yeah, the thing is just getting those words out. And even
Mm,
if you write that zero draft and it is all bad, at least you know what you don't want. At least you know what doesn't
yeah.
work.
100%. Do you use zero draft? Is that what you did for this
Yes.
last
And
one?
that's why I'm laughing because I was the bitch saying zero draft over here.
I
I was zero
love that. I
draft.
was side-eyeing you. I was like,
You
listen,
were.
you. But
You
speaking
were
of your
side-eyeing me.
brilliance, though,
Oh yeah, I was like, yeah, that's the book. Yeah. It's in paperback and it was in Australia. That's fucking crazy, dude.
that's fucking crazy, dude. I agree. I just caught eye of it there, and I was like, as we're ranting about this person that I was side-eyeing, let's side-eye this instead.
Beautiful.
She's
Sexy, gorgeous.
beautiful. I can't
That is the
believe.
coolest thing.
The reason I'm showing it before now I see a timer now.
Yeah.
I want to do a giveaway for this one because obviously I have that glorious copy there.
Yeah. You got a paperback before I got a
I
paperback.
know.
How
I
fun
would
is that?
send you one, but I'm sure they'll be everywhere soon.
Everywhere.
So I want to do a
Everywhere.
giveaway for this one. Do I make it just for our Australian listeners? No. I'll send it wherever.
Oh, that's so nice of you. So nice.
It
With a
was
pub
so
persuasion
cool.
sticker.
Yes, and that's the other thing I have sitting here. Thank you for reminding me. I still have stickers. Some of them have been making their way around to our lovely listeners.
Nice.
It's so cute because somebody said to me, they were like, "Oh, I really wanted one, but I know the postage is expensive, so I didn't want to ask for one." And I was like, "No, like that." I was thinking about it. I was like, we really, yeah, like appreciate our listeners, and like if I
Yeah.
could take every listener out for coffee, I would.
Oh,
Obviously,
that's
one at a
nice.
time.
Everybody, listen up. Melanie lives in, no, I'm just
No,
kidding.
no,
She's
but
going
since
to
I
coffee.
can't for XYZ reasons, I send
uh,
stickers, you know?
yes, and well, and I can send them as well, Melanie. I
Oh, you
have I
can.
have a plethora of stickers over
Excellent.
here.
So
So,
if you want one from Angela, hit her up.
yeah.
It's cool though. It's cool. Hopefully
Yeah.
they randomly sold me Christmas stamps. And then after I was looking on the packet and it was like valid only November to December. And I was like, I went back in and I was like, you guys sold me these stamps. I was like, am I like beautifully handwritten sticker notes gonna make it? And they're like, it should.
It's
He's like, if you want to make sure, bring them in and we'll stamp them personally. I was like, you motherfuckers sold me this shit. So I might have to
yes.
resend. If I have to resend, you can do those ones to the States.
Okay. Yeah.
But no, some of them are arriving. I think we're gonna
Very
get
good.
cut out any second. Sorry,
Yeah.
that was also chaotic. I just wanted to squeeze it in.
Good job.
Sorry for
Very good.
side-eyeing you. You also
I-
educated me.
the zero drafts, everybody. All the haters out there, zero drafts are where it's at. Look, Melanie is a reformed zero draft hater, and now look at
Is
her.
a reformed.
Hello.
You're gonna have to deal
Hello.
with my naked face today because I left my glasses in the car. In the car, I feel naked.
Oh, I thought there was something different. Can
It's
you
my
see without your glasses?
Yeah, I can see. They're
Okay.
mostly for reading, but I tend to wear them for anything bookish because bookish.
Yeah. Just to look very bookish.
Yeah,
Did
and
you see
also,
something fly behind me?
bitch, I saw your orb
I'm t
ghost.
I'm telling you, there's no bugs here.
We're gonna have to start documenting it.
Sorry.
I was
What were you
actually
saying?
putting I was actually putting together a reel about your orb ghost to make fun of you.
Ah, you should
Um,
put your face in it.
no, I was gonna say it's like the whole Clark Kent Superman thing, I'm
Yeah.
unrecognizable, for when my raging popularity of my books and I can't walk the street. Just take my
Yeah,
glasses
just take
off.
them off. No one will know. No one will know.
I'm gonna let her in. She's here.
Yay. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hi guys.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How about you?
Oh, we're so good. We are pumped to have you on. We are so stinking excited. So thanks for joining us. We're already recording. We're already ready to go. And before Melanie and I will come separately and introduce you and all of that fun stuff. But yeah, we're so stinking pumped because we are fans. And Melanie just was like, you should just try and get her on. And I was like,
Yeah,
no way. And here we are. So thank you for joining us. Seriously, this is
Oh,
this
sure.
is really fun. Yeah, so we're just gonna hop right in and get into the questions that are the burning questions that are just tingling in our loins. Um, but first, if you don't mind, do you mind just telling us and our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Vera Valentine. I started writing back in 2021. I believe I'm up to 19 books now. I do count novellas because they are books.
Yes.
Uh, and I've been in, I think, 12 anthologies now. I really need to keep a better count of my own work. I write primarily paranormal, and I do a lot of work in why choose, and unintentionally, I ended up kind of in the center of a, uh, at least it's popular again, sentient object romance. I can't claim to have started it or even be at the beginning because that's a Chuck Tingle thing. But yeah, sentient object romance, my door and my balloon animals. So
Yes. Yeah, we love them. That's honestly what
yeah,
got us started with your works was the sentient object books that you have. So thank you for those.
of
Seriously.
course,
I think you should
happy to
just,
provide.
yeah, I think you should just claim it because it was the one that I found first, Unhinged. So I think you should just take that crown.
I feel like I'm at the beginning of like the second wave. I'm like second wave sentient object romance. So that's
Man, I'm
Yeah,
here
well,
for it.
speaking of like random and glorious things, we love to ask our listeners like some random questions about themselves, and I am really excited to hear yours. So, can you tell us what is the strangest thing you own?
oh Lord. Um that I own. I have a very odd collection of vending machines. I have a
Oh,
particular love for coin operated vending machines. I have six, sort of like the gumball ones, but they're square. I actually have one on my desk that I don't see. I just got a new mount and I don't want to mess with it because I'm afraid
yeah,
my
no.
I have one like 3 inches to my left here. I just bought. It's brand new at a freight auction, and I'm very excited by it. So yeah, I love coin operated vending machines, and probably the other thing that I have is a complete set of every printed issue of the Witch's Almanac going back to 1971.
Whoa,
Oh,
that is cool.
Yep.
How did that start for you
I'm
collecting that?
pagan. I've been pagan for ever. And one of the first things that I got when I started paganism, my own path, when I was much younger, was a Witch's Almanac. And I loved it so much, I went to go get previous issues that had been published before I was born. And the 1971 was my white whale. That was the first year that it had ever been printed. It took me 12 years to find it, and I got it brand new from Milan, Italy, of all places. That's
Whoa.
Milan's in Italy, right? I'm not going to sound like an idiot. Yeah, I think so. Sorry if it's not bad with geography. But yeah, I got it a couple of years ago, and it just there's this relief settled in my soul. I was like, finally, I have it. I don't have to worry anymore.
okay.
The
I have to
collection is
ask
complete.
about the vending machines though. Like, do you put
Yeah,
anything in them, or do they it's just a collector's item?
really, really stupid point of interest. I got this brand new vending machine. I was very excited about it. And I got little colorful vending capsules, the little bubbles that stuff goes in. My intention was I have another thing that I use for story ideation called the story engine deck. Basically, it's a way to make randomized prompts. And I thought that I would put either prompts for stories or my daily medication in there just to kind of make it fun.
Yes.
Um, so I got the machine, I got it all set up, I checked the keys work, the coin mechanism works, got the bubbles off of Amazon, and I filled them on live. And like there was this drum roll moment. I was like, okay, first quarter in, I'm gonna get my first bubble out. and promptly found out the hard way that this machine is mechanized for what they call bulk vending, which is like, when you go to a petting zoo and you get like the animal pellets,
Yeah.
not the bubbles I painstakingly measured and found for it. So I have a beautiful vending machine full of vending capsules that is a paperweight.
No. Oh my gosh, you'd love Japan though. Their vending machines are next level. Like the stuff you can
I like
find.
Gachapon. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
It's
very cute.
so cool.
Yeah. Actually, I think I just saw a video on TikTok about the vending machines in particular in Japan, and they're like fun and like a thing that you do. Like you're going to like
Yep.
one was really cool, like a tentacle like earpiece. I don't know, but anyway, sounded cool. Sounded
Everything. You
fun.
can get like a foot, like we traveled around for a bit. You can get like a hot meal. It will literally
Mhm.
like pop out a full hot meal for you. I
Love that.
never saw one, but I heard a rumor that there were ones where you could like get like used women's panties out of.
Oh,
I've heard that. We
I
have
don't know
here
if that's a fact, but Japan has everything, so it's probably a fact.
here in North Carolina, we have a group that takes the old-fashioned cigarette vending machines, the one with the little pull knobs that you always saw in the billiard halls,
Yeah.
and they repurpose them to dispense little matchbox-sized boxes of art from local artists. It's called the Art
that is
Vend.
cool.
It's super cool.
I
That's
love
super
that.
cool. Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. What is something you think about way too often?
Oh, Lord. So my Roman Empire.
Yes, what is your Roman Empire?
Gosh, you guys are asking the hard questions. I thought
I
you were
Yeah,
just
we're
gonna
just
ask me about like doorknob screwing.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Honestly, my palpable, audible anxiety about stuff I need to get done around the house. I have 8 cats, so it's pretty much continually kowtowing to how are my cats doing? Are they hungry? Are they thirsty? Um,
I love
I
that.
don't.
8. 8.
Yeah, we have 8. Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
I
what
know.
are their
It's bullshit.
names? I need their
I
names.
name most of them after T. There's my oldest is Pico. She's 20. We have Oolong, Boba, Lady Gray, Chai, Runner, Bruce. I don't know how many of that. Who am I
Bruce!
forgetting? Yeah, he looked like Batman. He's a black. My husband named him because he looked like Batman. Kit Kat. She came to us named. Nothing we can do about that. I think that's everybody. I'm sorry if I'm missing one of my kids. I should know this better. We also have 2 dogs. I have Ollie, a pit bull, and I have Tyrion, who is a beagle mix.
Oh, you're busy. You're
Yeah.
busy with all the kids. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
I love that. Well, you can't have too many. You know, you
I
can't
mean,
have
No.
you can. Trust me, you can. But once you take on that responsibility, that's your responsibility. So I made my bed. It's full of pet hair, and that's
Nah.
that's where I'm at.
That should be a quote somewhere. I might have
Yeah.
made my bed and it's full of cat hair. I freaking
It
love
is.
that. That's
I was
amazing.
so
No,
hoping one was called Oolong. I don't know why.
I, I do. Did I miss Oolong? Oolong's my second oldest,
No,
and
you
he's
said.
oh okay. Yeah, he's a big fat orange boy. Orange cats only come in one size, and it is gigantic. So he and Boba are our biggest because they're big orange boys.
oh, so cute.
Mm.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Love all the cat talk. Now bringing it back to writing because we do want to get to all the doorknob talk. Um, but what made you want to be a writer? Did you always, because you mentioned you started in 2021.
Yep.
How did you start writing?
It's actually funny. Uh, for our Australia, are you both in Australia? I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
Just
No,
me.
I'm in California. Yeah,
Oh,
she's an
okay.
Aussie.
So you know Craigslist. You know the
Craig,
lurking specter of Craigslist.
the
Back in
notorious Craigslist.
when dinosaurs roamed the earth and I was younger and I was looking for a job, I applied for a job on Craigslist and it was for a buyer. And I was like, that sounds cool. You know, Sex in the City was like a big thing. I was like, I want to be a buyer. That sounds like something cool, cosmopolitan. So I get there and I'm going in for my interview and I notice there's a whole bunch of mannequins in like, not like classy lingerie, like the kind of lingerie that I'm here to do a job and I'm about to do it kind of lingerie. And I'm like looking around, there's this giant, probably 12-inch sitting on a table. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to curse or say things, so I'm
Yes.
playing it.
Please do.
We
Please
mark
do.
our episodes explicit so you are free.
just a big, a gigantic dildo, biggest I've ever seen, sitting on a conference table. And I'm like, so long story short, it turned out to be a job as a buyer for the second largest sex toys site on the internet at the time. And I lived my whole life by the improv principle of yes and. So I pretty much agree to everything that isn't illegal. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna try this. So I did it for a whole bunch of months. And our copywriter, the person who did our product descriptions, she got sick. She couldn't do the work anymore. And they were like, hey, can you do this? I was like, I'll try. I've written angsty poetry. I wonder if I'm good at this. And I was very good at it. So I started writing sex toy product descriptions and more and more and more. And then when I left that job, I went to work for a distributor doing that. And I worked briefly for Adam and Eve. I used to go out to Vegas to the Adult Video News Awards for that. So I've lived a life. And I did all of that product description writing. And then I moved into vanilla product description writing. And I made like a whole copywriting firm out of that. And I did a bunch of product descriptions of e-commerce stuff, worked in the furniture industry for a while. And then when the pandemic hit, we were all in quarantine, I found Kindle Unlimited, and I read like probably way more smut books than is healthy in a relatively short period of time.
As one does. Yeah.
I mean, if you don't during the pandemic, when do you? I ask, when do you?
Yeah. So I read like 300 inside a year, and I was like, at that point, I had downloaded so much information that I'm like, I wonder, not that they're all the same, but there's plot points that you pick up subconsciously, the story beats. And I was like, I think I'd like to try this. So I did, and I wrote my first book, and nobody read it. And then I wrote my second book, and way more people read it. So then I just kept going.
Wow. That's so freaking cool. So you wrote a book, and then did you put it on Kindle Unlimited? Like what was that publishing process like for you? I'm so fascinated by this. I cannot wait to hear.
It's, of course, having read all that, when you kind of hang with authors and become a fangirl, and I was a fangirl, still am a fangirl, they're going to talk about work publicly, not maybe as direct as author to author, but you pick up on things. And at that point, I had supported and been in the community with a whole bunch of authors that were all incredibly kind. And when I started and stumbled, fell on my face, had no idea what the hell I was doing, they all kind of picked me up and dusted me off. And they're like, it's okay. I had this. I talk about it all the time because I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. Catherine Moon, who is just a consummate professional and in such a light in the community. I was freaking out because I didn't know where covers came from. It's like that moment when you're a kid and you don't know where babies come from, but they come from somewhere. I'm like, okay, they're coming from because not everybody that writes is a talented artist. I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible to do that. They have to come from somewhere, and I didn't know where. And I was trying to make it in Microsoft Paint, and one of my eyes doesn't work, so my perception is already so it was not a good cover. And I'm like, this is terrible. I know it's objectively terrible. And I'm like melting down because I'm stressed at this point. And Catherine stepped in and she's like, listen, tell me what your title is. Let me, she mocked up something in like 5 minutes because she's brilliant. And she's like, what do you think about this? So I was like, perfect. I'm not changing anything. That's great. I'm going to use that. And then I proceeded to find out that apparently most covers there are these Facebook groups that the cover designers have, and you have to be in the Facebook group kind of to know they exist. And that's where people get their covers. They buy them. They're called pre-mades. They make them up ahead of time with, magical girl with sparkly swirlies around her. And it can be tweaked to a point. But some people, when they get a little more books under their belt, they'll go and get customs made by these same artists. But when you're just kind of standing in the middle of a, Facebook, and you're like, I don't know where covers come from. It was stressful because I didn't, until my author friends kind of led the way, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was reasonably good at not having terrible amounts of typos because of my years of copywriting, But going back and fixing that first manuscript, I was way more confident than I should have been. I used the word little like 400 times, so I went back in and quietly, deleted that. I'm like, just republish that, pretend I was better than I was. So yeah, KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. Amazon is the devil. I'm not gonna try and defend them. They're terrible. They're awful. But for somebody that prefers to roll up her sleeves and kind of do a lot herself, it was great for me because I don't like people telling me what to do, which is why I work for myself. And Amazon does tell you what to do to a point, but KDP gives you a lot of freedom. I get people have been less than complimentary about Unhinged because that's my book that kind of went really viral. And one of the themes that comes up a lot is, well, anybody can get anything published then if they'll publish this piece of crap. And I'm like, thanks. That's great for my ego. I appreciate it. But being less mean about it, that's true. If you have a strange idea, can you imagine me going, rolling up to HarperCollins, be like, hey, so I have this book about a woman that fucks a door. That's cool, right? Put it right next to SJM, it'd be great. Right in Barnes and Noble. It gives us, especially those of us that write explicit, an outlet that we might not have elsewhere. Because people do want to read these stories, obviously, and trying to pretend that it's, oh no, this isn't something people, let me tell you the things that people are into. Let me tell you the things I've learned people are into. They're missing out.
Yeah. Well, it's just so fun. Let's start with that. It's so fun. And that's like, when I first heard it whispered in the pipelines of the bookish world, I was like, I must find out just purely for curiosity point of view. But like almost one of the first things I said to Angela is, for all the like whisper network, I was like, this is actually like great. Like it's actually really well written. She had me like invested in the story. And you know what? I feel like once you've got haters, it's just you've made it. It's just reached a broad audience. It's always, I feel like if you're not pissing people off in some way, the reach probably isn't that broad, Like, I mean, let them hate and like skyrocket you to success, because their hates count as views anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I've had to get kind of a thick skin, more thicker than I have. I'm a sensitive little soul sometimes, but you have to learn how to deal with that. That's the skill set that because nobody anticipates being big, at least, I try and keep myself in check. Yeah, I am way bigger than I thought I'd ever be. I just kind of wanted to maybe get some of my bills paid and, kind of, whatever, right in the middle of the pack. And then I hit number 24 on Amazon and I was like, I woke up and I thought there was a glitch on my dashboard. I was like, what? Is this set to monthly? What's going on? Because it was like way more money than I had ever seen in a day. And I was like, okay, there's a glitch. So I'm like logging out, re-logging in. No, just like a whole bunch of people read it while I was asleep, like a month after it came out. And then it just kind of kept going. And then more and more people picked it up. And then I had Richard Pendragon. They dropped into my DMs and they were like, hey, do you want an audiobook? And I was like, yeah. And Richard did my audiobook. Richard and Raven Wildwood jumped in after the fact because she got wind that Richard was reading the male part. And she said to them, hey, you need to get in touch with Vera and say that I'll read the female part. I want to be a part of this. So that's how I ended up like overnight getting a dual narrated audiobook. It was really crazy. Everything just kind of kept rolling.
That is so cool. And it feels like the power sometimes of social media and just word of mouth of just like it's snowballing into this huge thing, which we love. That's the one of the great things about social media. But also you had been building this community around you throughout this whole time. But no, truly, we listened to the audiobook, Melanie and I, and we had so much freaking fun. It was like, I don't think we've ever, I'm speaking for her, like we're one person.
No,
but like,
we are one.
We have not,
Hive mind.
We never read anything like it, like Unhinged, and had so much fun with just the ridiculousness of it. But the writing was so good that you had to finish. You had to know. And you had to know where where was There's just so much I had to know it by the end. And so
That
you
word choice,
did the
honey.
damn thing. But yeah, I had to know. And but yeah, you did the damn thing. And it
Yeah.
shows you're 19 books in, is that what you said?
Yeah, I think 19 is the official count. Yeah.
That's so freaking cool. Is there anything that surprised you about like publishing in general?
Um, well, the one kind of nasty surprise I had in the beginning was and that I try and spread the word about all the time is that you don't get paid right away.
Hmm.
Um, Amazon is on a 60-day pay delay cycle. So I'm looking at like all this, like not all this, but for me, it was like at the time my first book, I was like, oh, I made actual money. This is super cool. I can't wait. And I'm here like counting my chickens before they hatched. And I waited because I was like, okay, the payday is the 29th. Cool. So my naive ass was like sitting there like, all right, it's the 29th. And then nothing happened. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. I said, maybe they'll pay the next month. And then the next month, the 29th came around, nothing happened. I was like, what's going on? Where's my money? And yeah, it's on a 60-day pay delay cycle. So
Wow.
everything I make in the month of March, from March 1st to is there 31 days in March? The last day of March. So March to April, April to May. I won't see any money that I have made this month on Kindle Unlimited and KDP until the end of May.
Wow.
So once you're published, it's like, getting your first check at a new job. But when you're, hungry and putting out your first book and eager for your first paycheck, it can be a real cold bucket of water to find out you're not getting paid for 2 months.
Yeah, I bet. Wow. Well, do you have like like I have to say, I don't know, I'm gonna just say it was your books that inspired me to like I dabbled with a blurb idea for something more spicy than I usually write. Do you have a writing tip for your listeners, those of us who may wish to write spicier?
I am a pantser. I've mentioned in previous interviews, so I don't really plan anything. I write and the story occurs to me as I write, and sometimes I'll come up with like not a loophole. You can tell I'm a writer because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like I'll say, okay, I want this to happen, but it's kind of out of left field if I put it in here. Let me go back 2 chapters and put in some breadcrumbs to suggest this is going to happen later. So it's like a continual back and forth and back and forth if you're trying to weave like a really involved story. Some stories are just they're great. They're start to finish. They hit the beats. They're fantastic. It's not better writing than others. It's just a different style. Some people like the very straightforward style. Some people like the intense info dumping, huge backstory, world building stuff. And that's cool. Just like there's different writers, there's different readers. I found when I ran into writer's block, I'm like, I don't know what the hell this person's going to do. I don't know why they're here. I don't know what their purpose is. I have the story engine deck, which I cannot recommend strongly enough. I freaking love it. It's a very large deck now. There's a lot of additions that they've done to it, but you can download a demo deck for free on their site. It's like PDF. And they've also made the Deck of Worlds, which was their second, like they did Kickstarters. And the Deck of Worlds is a world building deck. So it'll help you build everything from the way the world is shaped geographically to stuff, why is this mountain important? How does this factor into the culture? And then that feeds into their newest, which is the Lore Masters deck, which tells you, like backstories, why they sing certain lullabies to their children. And it's all very open. It's not telling you exactly what to do, but it's giving you suggestions. And I have found it very helpful to use tools like that. I also have a set of story dice they just have little pictograms on them. And sometimes it helps get my brain out of that. I know the answer is here and you're just kind of staring at it and it's not going to come to you. You got to loosen it up. So I use tools like that to help me move my story along if I get stuck.
Oh, cool. Honestly, I've never even attempted to try. What was the thing called? The one the deck?
The story engine deck. I have
Story.
a TikTok of me using it actually in action to build a new story. So yeah, I definitely recommend everybody check it out. Even if you only check out like the free PDF download, it helps you think in a very different way. And I love it.
Oh, that's so cool. And just going like more in depth too. Like when you were talking about the world building, I think that's so good, especially for fantasy and sci-fi writers. Well, just
Mhm.
anybody. We could all use to be more in depth. So I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Mhm.
That's super cool. And okay, we had touched on Unhinged,
Yep.
and we all love it. We also just finished Squeak, which
Mhm.
was also a blast. And does that have two? Is there two in that series?
There is. I I originally intended for it just to be one, and I got so many people asking me for a part two. They're already on me about a part two for Unhinged, and I was like, guys, I tied it up. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be another story with a sibling later on though,
Uh,
because people really want to get back into that world.
yeah.
But one second. Jason, go in your room. I'm doing big business girl things.
I
love
love
you.
it.
That's real
My
right
husband.
there. That's real. But can you tell our
Sorry,
listeners what those
he's
are
got a very
about?
booming voice.
Yeah.
Former Navy. Yes, there are two parts to Squeak. The second one is called Squeal. I added a third person to the harem. Well, not harem, group. Polycule. I'm trying to get out of the harem language. I am probably going to tweak it a little bit, because I want to put out an omnibus, and put a couple of scenes in there, because the question of if what happens if one of them pops has come up so much that I feel like I need to address it on page.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
I've been wondering. But now I'm also afraid.
nobody's gonna die. Don't worry. I don't. No, that the thing that was it's funny the things that people stick on, for the things that come up, the non-sexual questions that get asked about the stories. The one that caught me the most heat for Squeak was funnel cake icing. There is
Yes.
a
Yes.
huge argument about whether, icing doesn't go on funnel cakes. And I'm from the East Coast, and they put all sorts of crap on funnel cakes. And I think what I was thinking when I wrote, because I don't eat a lot of sweets, the way that the powdered sugar kind of congeals with the oil, and my brain turned it into icing. I was like, it kind of looks like semen. But man, I got a lot of heat for that. I got a lot of people really like, icing doesn't go on funnel cakes. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Oh
I'm sorry.
my gosh, I love that
Well,
that's what people zoned in on. They're like, no, but it doesn't go.
Yeah.
But there's a wonderful gal, no, person, excuse me. See, I'm 42 this year. I'm doing my best. Fish. They go by Fish on TikTok, and they did a review of Unhinged, and they did multi-part. There was 3 wonderful coverage of the book, and I'm very grateful to them. And then when they were reading the first part, because they read it in parts, they were like, how does this guy exist? He doesn't have a social security card. And like when I watched that video, I was like, yes. Little do you know. So it was very gratifying to me, because I answered what would have been the one that I got, the funnel cake icing question I got on Unhinged, was so many people wanted to know what happened to her door when he transformed. Like a staggering amount of people asked that question. Every single comment thread had that question in it multiple times. And I'm like, y'all are really worried about this. I'm glad I solved that on page, because I'd never heard the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you never know what people are going to focus on. It's really funny.
But how great is that? Like your words have made people really think and like get behind it, and enough where they're like making videos, they're trying to discuss and figure things out. Like that has to be just the best, most fun thing, is like people are writing think pieces about your stories, as they should, because they're so creative and fun. Like where do you get the inspiration for this? I have to know. Is it just like you're just out in the world and
I always joke that it's significant head trauma. I actually fell off a train when I was 16, head first.
Really?
So it messed with my eyes, which is one of the reasons that I'm kind of going blind. My retinas both separated. So I always joke that it's head trauma that did it. But my brain's just kind of wired differently. I think of and I always clarify, just because I've gotten so many comments about my personal sexuality, my personal sex life, which is weird to me.
yeah.
You can work with sexual things in a creative sense without bringing yourself into it. These aren't self-inserts. They're just stories meant to entertain. So I'm not an object sexual, but I also don't have any issues with object sexuals as long as they are safe and everybody is consensual. That's all I care about. But
And I love
for
that in the book that you were very that was one of my favorite parts, that Tanner was very like, you know, she cleaned that doorknob. She put protection on the doorknob just in case, because you never know. I was like, those parts really like amused, delighted, and impressed me, to be honest.
Because of my background working in the adult industry doing descriptions, I have a very advanced knowledge of sexual health. And I like to put that forward whenever I can. I think to myself as like a mild germaphobe, if I was going to do something like this, how would I address my concerns? And I think, obviously everybody reads these books, but a lot of our audience is cis female or identifies as female or has a vagina. Let me put it that way. That I think that's probably the most inclusive I can be. And any one of us that has ever gotten a UTI knows that is always in the back of your mind. It doesn't matter if it's a human, doesn't matter if it's a toy. You're like, I don't want one of those. That is like a terrible experience, and I do not want to go through it. So, those two things, I'm like, how would I protect myself if I was going to do something like this? So I try and keep that in mind. I try and normalize toy use in my stories because it's very important to me that women can claim their own sexuality without feeling shame. I like the toys to already be there, not like some magical thing that the guy introduces. Women can and should have toys if they want them, if they are not, if they are interested in that. And I like to try and do my small part to remove some of the stigma with that because, they're cool. Toys are great.
Fuck yes, Vera. Preach. Preach. I read some horrible fact about how few women enjoy sex the other day, and I was like, dang, like it hurt to hear. So yes, please continue your good work. And no, like it does show, like all jokes aside, it does show that you have like a knowledge and an interest in this. And I think that's the difference. If somebody was just writing it for shits and giggles, it wouldn't have that like belief. Like there's this like, you trust the author,
I try. If one person went out to a store and bought something for themselves because of my books, mission accomplished. So
yes, no, and I think that's what's so beautiful about romance, the smut, whatever you want to call the genre, the genres that we're all writing in, is like normalizing just us having bodies and wanting to explore what we want with those bodies. So I love it. I think what you're doing is beautiful and perfect. I see our time is dwindling, which is wild, and it's shameful, to be honest. But is there anything you wish your readers knew before reading your books?
Just as a point of logistics, the way that we have to format our books, Amazon wants us to only put numbers on the actual story pages. So the prior part, the foreword, the content warnings, the trigger warnings, have to go on the before pages because they're not part of the story, theoretically. A lot of times when you open an ebook, if you're an ebook reader, it will zoom past those. So if you have triggers, always make sure that you are on the first page of the book, not just the first page of the story, because I don't want anyone to get accidentally triggered. I am also very open to people messaging me, DMing me if I have missed a trigger. I do my best to be thorough, but if I've missed a trigger, I am open to learning and I am open to reincorporating new triggers in there to make sure that everybody knows what they're getting into. A lot of times we can't list them on the product page on Amazon because we get censored. Amazon will take us down. If you are reading my ebook and it is anywhere that is not on Amazon, and I haven't given it to you, it's not part of a giveaway or something, you are reading it illegally. We are under an exclusivity contract if we are in Kindle Unlimited. If you're reading an ebook off of Kindle that would normally be in Kindle Unlimited off of it, that's a pirated copy, unless it's been given to you by the author. Lot of them don't know that. And if Amazon catches us on a pirate site, which obviously we have nothing to do with that, but they have this terrible system, they will pull down our entire account. And remember how I told you earlier that all of our pay is delayed 60 days? They take that pay that hasn't been paid out yet, and we don't ever see it. We don't
What?
get it.
Oh
That's
my
why we hate pirating
gosh.
so much.
This is making
So,
so much sense about something random I haven't been able to solve. You know how like authors leave a review on their own book? Oh, is it frozen again?
Oh no.
Well, I
Well,
mean, I hope you can hear us.
Oh.
yeah.
But I mean, what a glorious episode if you can't.
yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. We're back. We're back.
There was so
Okay.
much big energy. The system malfunctioned.
Well,
Amazon heard
It did.
us.
Can't handle
yeah,
us.
Amazon's always listening. They're always listening. But yeah, before we cut out, honestly, this has been a blast. And I'd like to have you come back on some other time just so we could chat more about
Yeah.
sentient romance, sentient beings, and all the other amazing books you have. 'cause
Sure
you've
thing. I
got
would love to be back.
many.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free. I'd love to come back on again.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We'll let you go before we officially cut out. As again, Amazon is listening.
It is listening. I think it's definitely cut us off. But yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us. If you can hear us.
Goodbye, Vera.